started by a gentleman by name George Pimentel, who used to teach chemistry and chemical education at the University of Berkeley, UC Berkeley. And then he was also the chair of the National American Chemical Society during 82 to 89. And it is in 89 that he introduced this celebration as a biannual full week event. And in 1993, the National Chemistry Week became an annual celebration. So that is the history of how this National Chemistry Week, NCW, got started. And this year's celebration, the theme is sticking with chemistry. And I also wanted to give a shout out and my thanks to Mr. Henry Abrash, who was the actual in charge of conducting the National Chemistry Week during the last few years, especially when I was the past chair during the last year. So my thanks to him for his support and for his work in organizing this particular event. Now let us start off with the topic, ingredients for life, the chemistry of health foods and the disease control. And here are some foods which I love to eat. I'm sure all of you are love to eat also. But the question is how safe they are. The Harvard School of Public Health has recommended a healthy eating diet, using healthy oils, more veggies and greater variety, the better, than potatoes and French fries excluded, of course. Eat plenty of fruits of all colors, drink water, tea or coffee, eat whole grains, limit refined grains, then choose fish, poultry, beans, and avoid bacon, cold cuts, and other things. So that seems to be the healthy diet recommendation. Now let us explore some of the ingredients in the foods, in these healthy foods and foods in general. There are two classes actually of nutrients. One is the major nutrient class, which are taken in grams. The other one is the minor nutrients class, which are taken in milligrams or micrograms. Among the major nutrients, proteins, fats, that is the lipids, triglycerides, fatty acids, phospholipids, and steroids, then carbohydrates and dietary fiber, they form the major classes. Among the minor nutrients, the water-soluble vitamins, the fat-soluble vitamins, and minerals, they form the minor nutrients. And their function is also given here, but that's only a very cursory one. There are a lot more functions they do. And let us focus in today's discussion about amino acids and proteins. Amino acids are the building blocks of peptides and proteins, and they are indispensable chemicals needed by the body for optimal metabolism and proper body functioning. And they're classified as essential, non-essential, and conditionally essential amino acids, and they play a vital role in the body, such as protein synthesis and as precursors in the production of secondary metabolism molecules. And amino acid oxygenases also play vital metabolic roles, such as in prevention of disease and so on and so forth and all that. And I just showed in this slide, forget about the organic chemistry part of it, the mechanistic part of it, how from an amino acid, a peptide bond, which is a NHCO bond, is generated to initially produce peptides to the polypeptide stage, and then from polypeptides to the protein stage. The distinction between polypeptide and protein is normally not that clear cut, but people generally say up to 10,000 kilodaltons, 10,000 daltons molecular weight you call the material polypeptide, and after 10,000, over 10,000, you call it a protein. The proteins are very abundant organic molecules of the living systems. They occur in every part of the cell and constitute about 50% of the cellular dry weight. They form the fundamental basis of structure and function of life. And initially, the name protein and the fact that they are nitrogenous materials was discovered in 1839 by the Dutch chemist Mulder. Then the biomedical importance of proteins are very, very well known, and I don't think I need to elaborate too much on them. They are the main structural components of the cytoskeleton, and different categories like enzymes, the immunoglobulins, the hormones, then structural proteins, which are contractile proteins, and as receptors, the transport proteins, the storage proteins, and respiratory pigments. Then some supply, they can be catabolized to supply energy, and by means of exerting osmotic pressure, help in the maintenance of electrolyte and body balance in the body. So those are some of the highlights of the functions of proteins. And let us start with the amino acids, which are the building blocks of the proteins. They contain amino and carboxy functions. That's why they're called amino acids. There are about 300 amino acids in nature, but only 20 of them occur in the proteins. And this is the general structure of the amino acid skeleton that is given here. And the 20 amino acids which form the building blocks of all proteins are elaborated here with their structures and names, starting from glycine, so on and so forth, and all these things, which I don't think I am going to elaborate too much on them. And these are positively charged R group ones, then aromatic ring ones, negatively charged ones. And this is the nomenclature. There are two different types of nomenclatures that are in vogue for depicting amino acids. The 3-letter notation and the 1-letter notation for all these 20 amino acids. They exhibit stereoisomerism, and they have the L configuration and the D configuration based on whether the hydrogen is on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side of the Fisher projection. And actually, all the 20 amino acids that occur in the body and their building blocks of proteins are the L amino acids. And the configuration is shown pictorially, 3-dimensionally here too, the D and L configurations. And we have just now seen in the formulae that we can classify the 20 amino acids into aliphatic, hydroxy-containing, sulfur-containing, acidic amino acids, basic amino acids, aromatic amino acids, and amino acids. Those are the classifications. And the nutritional classification is that they are essential and non-essential. The essential ones are the ones that are not made, that are not synthesized by the body and need to be supplied to the body through the diet. They're required for proper growth and maintenance of an individual, as you know. So these are the essential amino acids which are not made by the body. And these are the contents per gram of protein, generally on an average. And these are the daily requirements of these essential amino acids for the maintenance of body health. And we have the amino acid profiles in some common proteins, and the food materials that supply these proteins: the human milk, cow milk, egg, beef, soy, and whey. And you can see the total roughly they are in fairly good suppliers. They are fairly good suppliers of the essential amino acids. And the ones that supply, the proteins that supply all these 9 essential amino acids are called complete proteins. And this is the protein content of some of the complete protein foods and the daily requirement by age and gender. And you can see the content that are supplied by these different food materials. And then for the ages, actually for women aged, the normal middle-aged people, 46 grams of protein are needed. For men of the same age, 56 grams of protein are needed per day. There are also some non-protein amino acids, which also perform some important functions, like ornithine, citrulline, so on and so forth, arginosuccinic acid, thyroxine, triiodothyronine, S-adenosylmethionine, homocysteine, 3,4-dihydroxyphenylalanine, and creatinine. And these are the roles they play. Then you have non-alpha amino acids. So the essential amino acids that occur, the essential non-essential amino acids that occur in proteins are all alpha amino acids, but there are other amino acids which are not alpha amino acids, which also have important body functions, like beta-alanine, beta-amino isobutyric acid, gamma-aminobutyric acid, delta-aminolevulinic acid, taurine, so on and so forth. Some examples are here. And if we know now that it's not just L-amino acids alone which form the building blocks of the proteins that exhibit biological functions of significance. Even D-amino acids also exhibit biological functions of significance, like D-serine, D-aspartate, for example. The other examples are also given here. One of the proteins that is a major constituent of the blood serum of human beings is the human serum albumin, and that of the cows is the bovine serum albumin. And a comparison of these two is given in this particular slide. Don't worry about the structure. Those are a lot of amino acids with a molecular weight, total molecular weight of the protein being over 60,000. And the human albumin sequence is given here. The bovine albumin sequence is given here. And the human albumin actually performs several functions within the body. And actually the major function of that human albumin is transportation of various materials, including drugs, ionic materials, so on and so forth, and all that. The other one, the bovine serum albumin, BSA, is used as a standard in analytical procedures. Now, I thought I will elaborate a little bit on the antibodies which are also a category amongst the proteins, like the enzymes and hormones and all those, which I elaborated a few slides ago. I thought it will be of interest to discuss a little bit about the antibodies, because they form the first line of defense against ailments, especially in the current COVID-19 situation, for example. Then this is the structure of the antibodies with a heavy chain and a light chain arms on either side, and a base which is called the FC segment. The chains that are here, the heavy chain part of it contains a variable and a fixed part, and the The variable part of the heavy chains is the one that actually binds the antigen or the virus. So that this is the structure of the antibodies in general. So an antibody, also known as immunoglobulin, is a Y-shaped structure consisting of 4 polypeptides, 2 heavy chains, 2 light chains. This structure allows antibody molecules to carry out their dual functions, the antigen binding and biological activity mediation. Each function is carried out by different parts of the antibody. Fragment antigen binding, that is the virus binding, is the Fab fragment, as I told you. The fragment crystallizable region is the FC region at the bottom. So the Fab fragment is a region of an antibody that binds to antigens, and that's the very, very important aspect of the antibody structure. The FC region is the tail region of the antibody that interacts with cell surface receptors called the FC receptors and some proteins of the complement system. And this property allows antibodies to activate the immune system. The FC regions of the immunoglobulins bear a highly conserved N-glycosylation site. And there are 5 different classes of the immunoglobulins, the antibodies, the IgG, IgM, IgA, IgE, and IgD. And these are distinguished by the types of heavy chain they contain. So actually the distinguishing feature between all these different types of immunoglobulins or the antibody molecules is the variation of the protein structure in the heavy chain. So the functions of these immunoglobulins are elaborated here. It provides long-term protection because it persists for months and years after the presence of the antigen that has triggered their production. So the longer the IgG stays in the body, the greater will be the immune response that we can elicit and protect ourselves from the viruses. IgM antibodies are constructed of 5 or 6 units, mostly as pentamers but also hexamers. And these are each comprised of 2 heavy chains and 2 light chains bound together by disulfide bonds. And the IgM is involved in the ABO blood group antigens on the surfaces of RBCs. IgM enhances ingestion of cells by phagocytosis. Then IgA antibodies consist of heavy and light chains again. And the main function of the IgA is to bind antigens and microbes before they invade tissues. So that is the second line of defense after the IgG. The IgE have only been found in mammals, and they bind to mast cells and basophils, which participate in the immune response. And immunoglobulin D, IgD antibodies are expressed in the plasma membranes of immature beta lymphocytes. It is also produced in a secreted form that is found in small amounts in blood serum. So these are the different categories of the immunoglobulins. The most important one as far as fighting the antigens or viruses is the IgG molecule. Now let us briefly touch upon the enzymes, which are also proteins. I'm just giving only a couple of examples of the different types of proteins. The antibodies we have just discussed just now, and now the enzymes. Then lipases, these are a group of enzymes that help digest fats in the gut. Amylases help change starches into sugars. Then maltases found in saliva break the sugar maltose into glucose. Trypsin found in small intestines breaks proteins down into amino acids. Then lactase found in the small intestine breaks lactose, the sugar in milk, into glucose and galactose. Then acetylcholinesterase, it breaks down the neurotransmitter acetylcholine in nerves and muscles. Helicase unravels DNA, and DNA polymerase synthesizes DNA from deoxyribonucleotides. So these are some of the examples of enzymes, not all of them exhaustive, only some. And here is an example of one particular enzyme, pepsin, which is a digestive enzyme which occurs in the stomach and helps in the digestion. And this is the structure, the amino acid structure or sequence of this particular enzyme pepsin. And it comprises of about 327 amino acids. Let us move on to the lipid family. The triglycerides, the fats and oils, consisting of chemically the glycerol molecule, which is the backbone, the fatty acid chains, which fall into three categories: saturated, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. And the unsaturated ones could be omega-3, omega-6, and the phospholipids and sterols. So that is the lipid family. Examples of saturated, mono, polyunsaturated fatty acids are given here in this slide. The stearic acid is a saturated fatty acid. Oleic acid is a monounsaturated fatty acid. Then we have the omega-3 acids and the omega-6 acids, which are actually the ingredients of fish oils, which we take as supplements also sometimes. So these are the ones that we are looking for in the fish oil to help us control our cholesterol, triglycerides, and things like that. So that is the chemical structure here of the triglycerides. But I just wanted to show that we can have isomers, geometrical isomers of this unsaturated fatty acids. The cis fatty acids are the ones that are good for our health. They, with the two hydrogens on the double bond on the same side. These are the trans, the ones on the opposite sides. The trans ones are harmful. The cis ones are the helping type of unsaturated fatty acids. And if we take a look at some of the oils that we use in our cooking and all that, and see the levels of saturated, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated fatty acids, we can see that the ones at the bottom are the ones that contain a lot of this, large amounts of the unsaturated fatty acids, which are good for our health. The saturated fatty acids, which are here at the top, with these oils being examples of large quantities of the saturated fatty acids, they are the ones that cause more harm to the body than good, actually, because they build fat in the body, obviously, as we know. So probably we take a note that when we use oils, we go for the ones that contain more of the unsaturated fatty acids when we do the cooking, as far as preserving our health is concerned. And we have the saturated fatty acids occur in animals. The unsaturated fatty acids are predominantly present in the plants, and actually the animal sources do not supply too much of the unsaturated fatty acids except in the fish oils. So that's the distinction between the vegetarian and non-vegetarian diet. Now let us discuss a little bit about the fiber, the origin, definition, and the health benefits of the fiber. The fiber comes from plant foods. So there is no fiber in animal products such as milk, eggs, meat, poultry, and fish. Fiber is the indigestible part of the plant foods, including fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and legumes. When we consume dietary fiber, most of it passes through the intestines and is not digested. For good health, adults are recommended to eat about 25 to 30 grams of fiber each day. And most Americans do not consume nearly enough fiber in their diet. So while it is wise to aim for this goal, any increase in fiber in your diet can be beneficial. Most of us get only about half of what is recommended. Fiber contributes to digestive health, helps keep you regular, and helps to make you feel full and satisfied after eating. Additional health benefits of a diet high in fiber, such as a reduction in cholesterol levels, have been suggested by some. So may be an additional benefit. These are some foods that supply reasonable amounts of fiber. The fruits, the dark green vegetables, orange vegetables, cooked dry beans, starchy vegetables, other vegetables, whole grains, and meat. And you can see among the fiber content, the meat is the one that supplies the lowest fiber content, and the dark green vegetables and the cooked dry beans supplying the most amount of the fiber. Now let us discuss a little bit about the extra materials that are present in food ingredients when ready-made foods are sold. And why are these ingredients added to foods? These ingredients are added to foods to maintain or improve safety and freshness, to improve or maintain nutrition value, improve taste, texture, and appearance. There are thousands of ingredients used to make foods. The FDA maintains a list of over 3,000 ingredients in its database, everything added to food in the United States, many of which we use at home every day, like sugar, baking soda, salt, vanilla yeast, spices, and colors, etc. And here are a few examples of the ingredients that are added to foods. Preservatives, they prevent food from spoilage, from bacteria, molds, so on and so forth. And some examples of their use are fruit sauces, jellies, beverages, so on and so forth. And the chemicals used as preservatives are ascorbic acid, citric acid, sodium benzoate, calcium propionate, so on and so forth. Then we have the sweeteners, with or without extra calories. Beverage, so some examples of their use are beverages, baked goods, confections, tabletop sugar, so on and so forth. And examples of chemicals are sucrose, glucose, fructose, sorbitol, so on and so forth. Then the color additives, they offset color loss due to exposure to light, air, temperature, extreme moisture, and storage conditions. And many processed foods like candies, snacks, snack foods, margarine, cheese, soft drinks, etc., are examples of color additives being added to them. And some of the examples of the chemicals are FD&C blue, FD&C green, and so on and so forth. Then we have the flavors and spices. We have the flavor enhancers. We have the fat replacers. We have the nutrients. And among the flavors and spices, natural flavoring, artificial flavor and spices are the substances that are added. Then flavor enhancers are MSG, hydrolyzed soya protein, and so on and so forth. The fat replacers are cholesterol, cellulose gel, carrageenan, polydextrose, so on and so forth. And the nutrients are the vitamins and the minerals predominantly that are added. Then there are some emulsifiers like soy lecithin, mono and diglycerides, egg yolks, so on and so forth. They allow smooth mixing of ingredients. They are used in salad dressings, peanut butter, etc. Then we have the stabilizers and thickeners, binders and texturizers. And examples are gelatin, pectin, gorgum, carrageenan, and etc. pH control agents and acidulants like lactic acid, citric acid, etc. They are added to beverages, frozen desserts, chocolate, low acid canned foods, etc. and then the leavening agents, like the baking soda. Then we have the anti-caking agents, we have the humectants, yeast nutrients, dough strengtheners and conditioners, firming agents, enzyme preparations, and gases. So these are some of the examples of the ingredients that are added to foods. And we also have to discuss some of the agencies that control the food industry, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, the Food Safety and Inspection Services, FSIS, then US Department of Agriculture, USDA, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, and state agencies like California State Food Code. So these are the agencies that actually control and make sure that the food that is supplied by supermarkets and the food manufacturers are okay for us to eat, and they won't cause us any harmful effects. So these are the guys who are actually helping us to maintain our proper health. These are the agencies. So who do these agencies regulate? There are 6,100 meat and poultry processors, 50,000 food establishments, more than 1 million food vending locations, more than 70,000 labeled food products, and FDA describes itself as annually regulating $417 billion worth of domestic food and 49 billion in imported food. The US food industry includes more than 136,000 registered domestic food facilities, including more than 44,000 food manufacturers and processors and approximately 113,000 food warehouses, so on and so forth. The industry also includes more than 2 million farms, roughly 935,000 restaurants and institutional food service establishments, and 114,000 supermarkets, grocery stores, and other food outlets. There are approximately 189,000 registered foreign facilities that manufacture, process, pack, and hold food consumed by Americans. So these are the things, these are the agencies and industries, manufacturing facilities, and food distributors that the US agencies regulate. And that's all I wanted to talk. And I thought I would give you more time to actually do a discussion on the topics that we have discussed. So any questions are welcome.
Yes, everyone, you are welcome to unmute yourself and show your video and ask question.
Hi, Dr. Kallury. That was a nice talk. Thank you. Very informative.
Thank you. If you have any questions on immunoglobulins or anything else, you can ask. Any other proteins.
Yeah, this is very interesting talk, great talk. So this is a good opportunity. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, it's great. Yes. Yeah, I have tons of questions, but I don't want to take people's time, so it's better the audience can ask questions.
Sure.
So Alan, you have any question, Alan?
No, it was a very good talk. I appreciated it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, if there are no further questions, then thank you all. for attending. And I thank our Scalex and AIAA for providing me with this opportunity to talk to all of you about this subject, which is of universal interest to everybody. And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I do have a short question. When you mentioned about this sugar, and now these days you have the sugar alcohol, stevia. So it's very confusing. So how does that does the safety and FDA come out with some kind of recommendation? For example, some people say some kind of sugar alcohol is not good for the gut. For the
not. Yes, it is not. It is not. And most of the artificial sugars are also harmful to the body, more harmful than doing any good to the body. So actually, having a little bit of the natural sugars is better than having these artificial sugars. That's what most of the scientific research tells us.
Yeah, and so that also include the sugar alcohol?
Yes, it also includes the sugar alcohols. Yes.
Okay. So just a very interesting, just demonstrating how chemistry work out. So the sugar alcohol was adding the the part of the what make a difference in terms of chemistry. How does adding how does a sugar alcohol different from the sugar?
Yeah.
I mean, chemistry-wise, what's the difference?
Chemistry-wise, actually, a sugar contains an aldehyde function, and an alcohol is one that actually contains a reduced aldehyde, where the aldehyde is reduced to the alcohol function.
Okay, so how does this change of chemistry lead to people think that will be a little bit lower calorie or less absorption?
The alcohol part of it actually supplies more calories. And what was your question actually?
Is why people were saying there's some kind of advantage for sugar alcohol. Why was ever actually brought up, to kind of as sugar supplement? I mean, a replacement. If it's not healthy, why people brought it up?
It is only because the aldehyde function in the sugar can metabolize and can interact with a lot of materials, I think. And when you reduce it to the alcohol function, that kind of reactivity is reduced because alcohol is predominantly a neutral function. And probably that is the reason why they recommend using the alcohol in place of the aldehyde function containing sugars. But at the same time, the alcohol moiety also can cause its own problems, like liver damage or things like that, I suppose.
I mean, just try to say this is a great demonstration of how tiny change of chemistry, lead to a great significance for the food properties and health. Just want to demonstrate this part.
I guess I have one quick question. How do you, I guess, wash off pesticides on fruits or vegetables, or even like prevent yourself from ingesting it? And two, like, should people just stick to buying organic food or produce, even though they're more expensive?
Actually, the only way you can wash off pesticides is using water, tap water, because you cannot use anything else to contaminate the foodstuffs. You cannot use organic solvents and this and that and all those things to wash off pesticides. So it's only the water that helps you. And you have most of the pesticides are water soluble as they are formulated. So you can actually use plenty of water to get rid of the get rid of the pesticides or other toxic contaminants.
Okay, cool. I mean, thank gosh for tap water then.
Yeah.
Oh, so Dr. Kallury, do you still work at Phenomenex?
No, I retired from Phenomenex.
Oh, okay.
Several years ago, I retired from Phenomenex.
That's cool. That's cool. I hope you're enjoying your life right now. You worked
Thank
hard
you. Thank you.
Deserve it. Well, thanks again for a good talk. I'll
you.
tune in tomorrow again, and then looking forward to my talk on Friday. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, Brenda.
Yeah, me too, Brenda.
yeah, thanks, Kenneth. I'm gonna hop off now, but I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, thank you.